Hi, I'm Peggy Oliveira. Thank you so much for joining me today. As I thought about today's blog post, the quote from Robert Frost that says, "The only way around is through," came to mind. Because today's post is about the importance of being able to allow yourself to feel pain in order to get to the place that you want to get to in your life. And I know that that's a difficult concept for people. And I don't mean that you need to sit or dwell in a place of difficulty and pain in order to be able to get what you want in your life. But I do mean that when you have denied pain in your life, it may seem to work at a surface level, but it continues to stay there until you allow yourself the opportunity to really acknowledge and validate it. You've probably noticed at times, if you've had unresolved pain in your life, that something may happen in your current life that might bring up a feeling of, it could be sadness, but often it's maybe a fear of something or anger about something, maybe hurt, a betrayal, or loss in some way. When you feel that currently in your life, or as an adult maybe, you might notice that the feeling becomes really intense, and sometimes it might even seem like you overreacted a little bit, or people might say that you've overreacted a little bit. And that happens at times because it's not always the case, but when you have unresolved pain, while it may not be something that you consciously think about, it is there. And when in your current life something triggers that similar feeling that is there, it tends to come up in a way that you're not necessarily aware of, and that's why often the feelings seem much more intense than maybe the situation might warrant. So when you think about, when people come to therapy and they say, well, I want to be happy, I want to stop being angry, I want to feel connected to people, or whatever it might be. In order to do that, you have to be able to acknowledge, validate, and let go of the pain that is still holding on. And the reason for that is because, again, it's not about kind of dwelling, I hate that word, but it's not about sitting in that place and just going over and over and over again all the difficulties you've experienced. But when you have used a coping mechanism to deal with difficult emotions, whether it's numbing, which is probably one of the more common ones, denying, avoiding, minimizing, when you've used a way of coping with difficult feelings, especially as a child, it becomes a very natural, really almost automatic way of dealing with emotions, difficult emotions in general, no matter what the circumstances. Well, while that may serve a purpose in the moment, it may help you get through your day or your week or your year or whatever it might be, especially as a child, as an adult, it doesn't necessarily work to your benefit much of the time, because your coping mechanism doesn't have the ability to differentiate between so-called positive and negative feelings. So when you have a coping mechanism that pushes aside negative feelings, it also doesn't allow you to really experience positive feelings either. Maybe you even had a situation that was really positive in your life, and you might have had some somewhat positive feelings about it, but it might have not been very long-lived. It may have been very short, or it may not have been a very strong feeling, a very strong positive feeling. And that happens because numbing becomes a way of dealing with emotion in general. And so When people want to heal, or when they talk about wanting to be able to experience happiness and joy, the truth is that you really can't fully do that if you're not fully open to experiencing emotion in general. So, what does that mean in terms of what has to happen? As I mentioned, it's not about sitting in that place and having to sit through days and weeks and months and years of being in pain. It's really mostly about acknowledging pain where pain exists. Whatever that pain may look like, whether it's sadness or fear, abandonment, loneliness, guilt, whatever it is, it means acknowledging that it exists within you, validating that feeling, honoring that feeling, and then from there you begin to heal. And when you realize that you no longer need a coping mechanism to deal with difficult things because you can manage them, it allows you to be open to feeling in general. And so that is really my wish for you. It's not to have you feel bad. It's about wanting you to be able to experience the good that is in your life, no matter how seemingly small or as big as it may be. When you have something seemingly very trivial to be grateful for, to really feel that sense of gratitude. When you do better than expected at school or at work, that you're able to really feel that sense of pride or accomplishment, that you don't numb yourself to that. That is really my wish for you. How you go about honoring, validating, acknowledging that pain is really kind of different for everybody, and part of that depends on, at least to some degree, what kind of pain that is. Is it from your childhood? Is it from a recent breakup? You know, there's different things that cause pain. But whatever it is important to be able to acknowledge that. If you have pain from your past, from your childhood in particular, especially if it's around abuse, it really sometimes does require professional help. And that's important. You owe it to yourself. You deserve to be able to let go of that so that you can feel and experience what happiness and joy and peace and excitement are really all about. You know, in our society, this is mostly through the media, I suppose, but they will talk to somebody who experienced something difficult, and the person will, you know, maybe not be upset, maybe be talking about just the positive things. And it may be that that person just really copes very well, in a very healthy way, with difficult things. But I think realistically, oftentimes people use avoidance, denying as a way of coping. And so when the media says, oh, this person is so strong, they're so courageous, they're so whatever it might be, because they're continuing to go on with their life, well, for the most part, that's what people do. You have a survival instinct. We learn ways of coping with things that allows us to push it to the side and to continue to move on. The truth is that when you experience something difficult, no matter what it is, even, like I said, you know, breakups are difficult. I'm not trying to minimize that, but everybody experiences breakups. Whether it's something like that, where there's just a lot of hurt, maybe even betrayal, sadness and fear, whatever it might be, or maybe you have a childhood filled with so much pain, it seems impossible that you could ever allow yourself to feel that, it takes such an incredible amount of strength and so much courage to allow yourself to recognize that. That is what real strength is about. It's allowing yourself to feel the feelings that are there. In doing that, you allow yourself to move through it to get to where you want to be. So I hope that you take from this that while you might even feel a sense of accomplishment if you're not feeling bad about something that happens in your life, it is short-lived. It does not serve you in the long run to push difficult things to the side. The sooner, the better you're able to work through them, the less impact it's going to have on your life in the big picture. So try to keep that in mind. You deserve to be able to let go of the pain that you've experienced in whatever way that's happened for you, and to move to a place of being able to fully experience all of the feelings that are part of human experience. The truth is there's no negative and positive feelings. Feelings are just feelings. We define them as either negative or positive. But even negative feelings serve a purpose. You know, if somebody that you love dies, it's supposed to feel bad. You're supposed to feel sad. You're supposed to have all of those feelings that go along with it. If you don't, that's more concerning to me as a therapist. We're made to experience a whole range of feelings. They're not good or bad, they just are. It's what we think about them that determines whether they're good or bad. So I encourage you to think about feelings as just being feelings and a part of our human experience. But in order to be able to feel the good, you need to allow yourself to also feel the bad. If you have a history of childhood abuse or something else really traumatic as a child, you may need professional help in being able to really identify the pain that is in your life. So I would certainly encourage you to do that. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will look forward to seeing you next time.